What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, thanks to the brilliant team over at Shozy Store, we're going to be checking out the DNA Design DK-52 Upgrade Kit for the Transformers Rise of the Beasts Maximals. Now, if you'd like this or any of their previous upgrades, then be sure to check out the links down below. Now, to give you guys a quick rundown of everything this pack is packing, in total there are 3 holograms. The first, I do believe, is inspired by the opening of the Bumblebee movie, where Optimus Prime does issue the command to B-127 to take refuge on Earth. The second hologram is most definitely more so Cybertron inspired, as this is packing an additional ton of mechanical detail. In terms of integration, in addition to being paired alongside the likes of the Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, these are also totally compatible with any figure that is sporting the now standard blast effect ports. So perhaps Airazor has just witnessed Unicron devouring the Maximal planet and is now in pursuit of seeking refuge on Cybertron. The third and final hologram is this upgrade kit's bonus accessory. Now, to be honest guys, I do think this here is a little lackluster because this is just a mere recolor of one of the previous sculpts. Considering that this is an upgrade kit specifically based around the Rise of the Beast Maximals, I think it would have been amazing had instead this included a hologram of the Transwarp key, as that is actually something that we do see in the Rise of the Beast movie. But getting stuck into some of the actual upgrades, first of all, we do see the return of RHINOX's mechanical mallet. Now, whilst this definitely is a pretty big upgrade when it comes down to both engineering and sculpt, unfortunately, it is no larger in comparison to the original Studio Series version, which I do think is a bit of a shame, as in the movie, it appeared to be way bigger than what we did finally end up seeing with that Voyager class release. In addition to that, there is also this extra attachment which you will definitely need to bring out once it does come down to the weapon integration. Next up, there is a pair of brand new fists for Cheetor. These are a pretty big improvement when it does come down to accuracy, as the spikes are now way closer to match the actual CG design. And as a companion to those, Cheetor also receives a major upgrade in the crepe department, as we do have 2 brand new feet which yet again appear to be way closer to the final look as seen in the movie. But saving what is easily the best for last, a fully face-plated sculpt for Optimus Primal, the primary look that we did see for this character in the film, and to be honest guys, this is exactly the look that we should have seen first time round with that Studio Series leader class. So, getting stuck into how exactly all of these integrate into the figures, first of all we are going to bring out RHINOX's mallet. Much like the Studio Series version, you are going to take the handle and slide this backwards. Then we are going to take this mechanical component up top and slide this here all the way back like that. We are now going to turn this here to the side, where buried beneath are 2 pretty awesome gunmetal spikes, so make sure that you do deploy these bad boys on both sides, exactly like this. We are then going to bring out RHINOX and do what Scourge failed to in the movie, that being completely decapitate this guy. So you are going to disconnect the neck and hinge this panel here all the way up. Now, stored on the underside is a tiny friction joint that you are just going to take and detach away from the backpack. For the next step, we are then going to bring out this additional attachment, which is going to slide very nicely inside this hollow cavity, until eventually you should be left with something which looks exactly like this. With that now all said and done, here is where we are going to begin to reattach the spinal cord of RHINOX back into that backpack. For the next step, we are now going to spin down here to the underside, where you are going to want to bring out that mechanical mallet. Now, the handle of this should very nicely slide inside the brand new attachment, which we just installed into the back of this guy's throat. So right now, you should be left with something which is looking exactly like this. We can then take a hold of the backpack and snap it back into place. You are then going to want to take a hold of the throat and reattach it here into the neck. As we flip this guy here around to the underside, that is the mechanical mallet now fully integrated into this guy's chest unit, and personally guys, I think this looks so much better in comparison to the original weapon storage. Next up, it's upgrade time for Maximal Cheetor. So all you want to do here is take a hold of a screwdriver and slightly unscrew this screw. You don't even need to remove it all of the way, because after a certain point, the wrist is now incredibly easy to detach away from the forearm. For the next step, here is where we can now bring out the brand new upgrade, and this very nicely reattaches into that pre-existing slot. Again guys, make sure to retighten that screw and repeat all of the same steps for the opposite side, so that Cheetor will have no issues in slashing up those Terracons on the battlefield. Yet again, a pretty big improvement when it does come down to accuracy, and those Wolverine blades are looking sick. Surprisingly, this also adds quite a few extra steps onto this guy when it does come down to transformation. But before we get stuck into that, there is one final upgrade for this guy, and that would be upgrading his creps for something which is slightly more movie accurate. Now for this, you are going to take the front part of the foot and slide this off the friction joint. Now I won't lie to you guys, this is actually easier said than done, so to save you guys watching me struggle on screen, I'm going to use a bit of movie magic. Bang! And now we have Cheetor fully maximized and upgraded. And there is a pretty big difference when it does come down to both detail and sculpt. A huge improvement in comparison to the original foot design, although as I'm sure you guys may have already noticed, there too is a pretty big difference when it does come down to size. The front part unfortunately now really doesn't match up all that well with the back part. Well, this is where DNA Design have now integrated a brand new heel spur, which definitely does help when it comes down to stability, although sadly, because this doesn't quite reach the back part of the foot, it definitely does cause for some stability issues when it comes down to some of the more dynamic poses, but I definitely think it's workable. As we spin this here around to the front, those brand new blades yet again look so much better, and I can most definitely now imagine this guy using these in order to slice and dice his battle damaged opponents. But now we're going to get stuck into the transformation differences when maximizing Cheetor into his beast mode. So for the first step, you are going to take this armor panel and slide this here forwards. Now what I thought was really clever is that these claws are very nicely going to integrate into the actual paws of the beast mode, creating for a pretty sweet sculpt. I mean, that is really well done. You are then going to take a hold of this entire component and hinge it here upwards, and that right there is the transformation for the fist. Would have been pretty neat had they found a way to have maybe minimize the circular paw in the hand just to make it look a little better once it comes down to beast mode, but still I thought the way the claws retracted inside again was really impressive. And then we spin down to the legs, which unfortunately really don't change all that much in comparison to the original version. So for this, you'll just take the front part of the foot and again collapse this against the back of the leg. The only difference this time round is that we are now going to take this additional heel spur and conceal it here back inside the base of the foot. And that is pretty much how the beast mode ends up looking. Much like the fists, it would have been cool had they maybe found a way to have better integrated this into the design, because considering the foot is now slightly larger, unfortunately I do think it sticks out a little more in comparison to the original version. Then, saving the best for last, the time has now come for us to bring out Optimus Primal, who I really think is packing the upgrade which is by far the money shot of the entire kit. So originally, this head sculpt, whilst was incredibly well detailed, I do believe originally was based off very early concept art. Unfortunately, this never actually appeared in the movie, which was a shame because for the most part, the robot mode was incredibly accurate to the CG design. So it is pretty sweet that DNA Design have included a brand new head sculpt, which looks to completely fix the original issue. So all you're going to want to do is take a hold of the pre-existing head and slide this here towards yourself, and check that out guys, it then reveals a pretty meaty ball joint, which as I'm sure you guys would then all guess, the brand new head sculpt is very nicely going to slide right over the top of. And if it's a fight you want, then you've got one, as I think this may just be single-handedly one of the best upgrades that DNA Design have put out in a very long time. It has quite simply turned what I believe to be a 9 out of 10 into a solid 10 out of 10. The details are way closer to better match the actual CG design, and that faceplate is looking sick. I thought that it was really cool that despite this being a third-party upgrade, not only does it seamlessly integrate into the robot mode, but also the transformation. You still have no issues in maximizing this guy back into his beast mode. The articulation is also exactly the same as the original version, and even from a side perspective, the sculpting and the painting is absolutely on point. So easily guys, the main reason why I do believe most collectors will be gunning for this kit, because yet again, these third-party companies have done what Hasbro unfortunately failed to. So, wrapping up on this review for the DNA Design DK-52 Upgrade Kit. Overall, I think this is definitely a very solid set. By far one of the better upgrades I think they've put out in a very long time. The only downside would be the price point. For $35, I do think for what you get back, honestly, this is a little overpriced. Had it instead been retailing for roughly $25, then I would have been able to recommend this to you guys with no issue at all, as the upgrades are almost solid, especially when it comes down to those maximals. The only exception accessories which I do think maybe we could have done without would be those holograms. Whilst they've all been very nicely detailed, I'm thinking that in terms of desirable accessories, I'm really not sure how many collectors actually wanted those. I personally would have loved to have seen them scrapped in favour of a brand new, more accurate beast mode head for Air Razor, but it definitely is a solid set, and for those who do decide to pick it up and you own all of the figures that are required in order to fully maximise this kit, then I do think you're really going to like it, especially when it comes down to that brand new face piece for Optimus Primal. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on this upgrade kit down in the comment section below. What do you guys think? For those of you interested in picking one of these up, again, be sure to check out the link down in the description box below. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching, and until my next video, transform and roll out!